And what I'm concerned is right now, with all of these individuals that Musk and Doge have sent into our government institutions and having access to those systems and networks and databases, this is something that is ripe for exploitation by the Russians and the Chinese in terms of intelligence. These are individuals who haven't been vetted, they don't have the security clearances or background, and so they're now accessing all this information that involves U.S. citizens, sensitive U.S. databases, and other things. And if the Bureau is going through these dislocations, its mission is being disrupted. And like Frank, I am very concerned about the politicization of the leadership of the Bureau. Kash Patel, I'm on Kash Patel's enemy list in his book. And so between Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, and others, is the Bureau, is the Department of Justice going to uphold its tradition of making sure that they carry out their responsibilities with integrity and in an apolitical fashion? And I think there are serious questions, including among the people within DOJ and FBI right now, about whether or not their leadership is going to bring them down this very dark place where it's unprecedented in American history.
Well, there you have it. Kash Patel just confirmed as director of the FBI. Pretty fucking unbelievable. I mean, the most serious agency in our government. Kash Patel, FBI director. I mean, if there is not an "are you fucking kidding me" moment, it's this. And for anyone who was fooled into thinking, don't worry, there's reasonable Republicans in the Senate, bullshit. There are no reasonable Republicans in the Senate. We cannot count on them. They will not save us. We are on our own in this.
So, I have some questions about the election in Arizona. Maricopa County, they did the secret testing on the machines, which per the elections procedures manual, you were supposed to oversee, do additional testing on. Did you authorize those? Ms. Hobbs? Ms. Hobbs, what about the signatures on the mail-in ballot affidavits? Are you aware of what those look like? That they look nothing like the signatures of the voter? Ms. Hobbs, as Secretary of State, you oversaw elections in Maricopa County in Arizona. Are you? Fucking rest, Jordan. I'm at the gym. Give it an effing rest. Is that what you said?
I sure did. Who better to answer some of these questions than James Fishback, the CEO of Azoria, the originator of the Doge dividend. James, thank you for being here. How did this all come to pass?
Well, good morning, Michael. To tell you the truth, it came to me in a dream. I woke up, I called our head of research at Azoria, we met at Capitol Grill, we fleshed this thing out in 2 hours, and I'm honored that the president has endorsed it. This is a real plan to send the savings that Doge generates over the next couple of years right back into the pockets of hardworking Americans all across this country. They deserve it. It was their money in the first place, and they need a break.
Okay, I'm all for ridding the government of waste, fraud, and abuse. But at some level, isn't it all illusory? In other words, if there's a quote-unquote savings made by Elon Musk and Doge, we're still $36 trillion in debt. So there's no pie to cut up. There's no slice of the pizza that I can hand back to you unless we continue to borrow those funds.
Well, our plan's really simple. Over the next couple of years, Doge will save a set amount of money. We're going to take 20% of that and put it right back in the hands of taxpayers. The other 80, as President Trump has pointed out, will go back to paying down the debt and narrowing the deficit. Here's the truth, Michael. For every $5 that Doge saves, as we believe calculated by the Congressional Budget Office, when this whole project is said and done next summer, for every $5, $1 goes back to the pockets of American taxpayers. Here's why. They sent their money to D.C. to be spent in America, not to be abused, not to be disrespected, and not to be defrauded. That $20 million to Iraqi Sesame Street, that money sent for a transgender opera in Colombia, all at the same time, Michael, that we have roads and bridges crumbling. We're losing 900 Americans every day to deaths of despair, alcoholism, and suicide. 8 out of 10 black American fourth graders are not even reading at grade level. This is pathetic. The Americans sent their money to be spent in America. They were defrauded. They were lied to. They now deserve restitution.
I'm outside the Gaylord before President Trump's fantastic speech to CPAC, and take a look behind me. This is interesting. No protesters. Where'd they go? You know, if the left's anti-Trump movement was authentic, wouldn't you think a bunch of Never Trump protesters would be outside standing on the public sidewalk protesting the man they say is a threat to democracy? But where are they? They're not here because maybe the USAID money dried up. Maybe the Senate Democrats forgot to make their payment. Who knows? But the fact that there's no protesters outside Trump's arguably biggest speech of the year that's not called the State of the Union, very telling. Very telling.
And now, here's John Ritchie and L. Todd Wood.
That is an interesting point. You and I ran in and out of there all weekend and late last week. That's Charles Downs. He's a blogger on X. But interesting point. Where were all the protests, Don?
Well, I was talking with someone else last night, and they said, or this morning actually, it's been really quiet, which makes you wonder either they are kind of pushed back for a bit, but I guarantee they're regrouping. And the information coming out about this coup we're going to talk about possibly shows that. So we're going to dig into all of it.
See, and this is all interesting, but and you can see we got Starmer coming in to meet with Trump this week. We got and you see a couple of the the legacy media types out there. Brennan is all over the media. I think he's scared to death that he's going to end up, he can see what's coming. And then you got the congressman there that was Eric Swalwell. He's out there. He's, just nonsense. The type.
At least he wasn't crying.
Yeah, he didn't cry this time, but he's got to know. He's got to be. He and Brennan, even Brennan says, I'm on Kash Patel's enemies list, whatever that is. And I'm sure he is. Is it, did you break the law and do things, spy on American citizens, go after your fellow citizens in an official capacity? Well, you probably are on somebody's enemies list. What do you think?
Well, obviously he is. And, sleeping with a Chinese spy for some time is interesting to say the least, while a member of Congress. So all this is going to come out, and it's going to be interesting to watch.
Yeah, I think so as well. So we were at CPAC, as we said. I think we had met a lot of good people there, huh?
Wow, what an event. I mean, we made a lot of great connections. We had a great positioning right there at the top of Radio Row. Everybody saw us. CDM got really good publicity. A lot of people asking about what we're doing and really impressed with our Spanish, CDM Espanol there as well. Sadie Berg was there. So really just fantastic event for us at CDM, and I'm really excited.
Yeah, had a chance to do Output there. One of the episodes of Output had John Eastman. Great interview there. Enjoyed having him, and of course Rasmussen Polster, Mark Mitchell. I mean, there's nobody that doesn't understand this space better than him, huh?
That was really an interesting hour. It was the first hour of the Output show. I think it was Friday we did that. And that was a really good hour. I mean, we went back and forth on a lot of different things. I would encourage people to catch it. By the way, our YouTube channel is growing, John, and we're streaming live on YouTube right now for the first time in 5 years. So I wish I had some of those fireworks to go off on the screen, but I don't. Right. I didn't have time to set that up.
Yeah, we are on YouTube now. We're back, starting to see some good traction there. So that's a good thing. And we've got a lot of good news, got a lot of good things coming on. I want to welcome everybody to Output. I'm John Ritchie. He's L. Todd Wood. Today's the 24th of February, 2025. And here's your 5-point surge. Trump fires the Joint Chiefs. Is this the result of a military coup that was being planned? Doge sticks with its plan to give a dividend check to the American people. Musk mandates an email response from federal employees tracking their previous week's work. Why? Federal government can force paper ballots on per constitution. That's CDM's Peter Bernagher. He did a great piece on that. We're going to talk about that in more detail. In breaking, Russia's offered Trump a deal, includes oil and access to the Arctic. Moscow could scale back its relationship with Beijing as well. So really want to talk about that. We've got Xi Van Fleet. Nobody better to discuss what's going on in China and the CCP than Xi Van Fleet. She has been attacked and silenced, and they've gone after her pretty hard. So we're going to have her join us in the second hour, and I'm really looking forward to that. What about this election over in Germany? What do you think?
Well, I would encourage everybody to watch our Eurobytes episode we put out last night. It's still up on the front page of cdm.press. I mean, we have guys on the ground in Austria and Germany and have for years, and they were giving us some really good commentary on where we're going forward in Germany, just not with the election, but how the Ukraine war peace settlement all works together. So really a really good episode, and we get a lot of good press on that show, or good feedback on that show. So check it out if you want to know exactly what's happening in Germany this morning. But I think the election, they're going to still try to form another coalition. Whether that'll be successful and for how long is up in the air. But I think the bottom line is AfD is making ground and will continue to make ground.
And they are just, I mean, we've had folks on this show from the Eurobytes and some of our contacts over in Europe that have gone over this. And that has been what they've said. They've said, look, I think we're going to win and we're going to start building. They're still going to put coalitions together, the coalitions of the losers, so that they can try to fight. But even CNN came out this week and they said, here's their cryon. They said, or it was not CNN, MSNBC came out and said, the anti-extremist firewall is starting to come down.
That's just like the Ukrainian Zelensky aura of Jesus is coming down too.
Yeah, exactly. Or how about the MSNBC's firewall is starting to come down? Joy Reid's lefty show has been canceled on that network. They're shaking things up.
Yeah, our competition is disappearing ever so steadily, but slowly but steadily. So we'll take it, and we're increasing and growing. So I'm happy about that, and thank you to everybody. Thank you to everybody at CPAC. By the way, we were down at Mar-a-Lago last week. Fantastic meetings. I mean, we've been on the road. We're going to continue to be on the road, and made some good connections at Mar-a-Lago, and I think you'll see us back there soon.
And the one thing I want to remind everybody about that last cold opening there with Charles Downs about the no protesters, lack of protesters. Remember that this was at the Gaylord in Maryland. I mean, that area, that part of Maryland there, it is as blue as blue could be. If there was anywhere where there was friendly territory for protesters to come in and go after Trump, that was it. I mean, we were behind enemy lines in Maryland there at the Gaylord Convention Center. I mean, if there was a time when you could have had probably some pretty good protests, that would have been it.
Maybe that's why the chicken fingers and greasy fries were so expensive, John. I don't know.
It could be. Yeah, they were a little. They were in the cold pizza. It was a little pricey there, huh?
Yeah.
No, we had a good. I thought it was a great engagement. Enjoyed meeting everybody there. Met people and made some contacts that are really going to help us grow the show. So really excited about that. One of the things when we get back, we're going to go to a quick break. But on the other side of that break, I want to get into this, why Trump is finally clearing the playing field, the board, if you will, of all these Joint Chiefs, and the why behind that. I think that's really pretty significant. I want to talk about that in more detail. We'll do that right after this break.
It's News from the Edge. It's Output with John Ritchie and L. Todd Wood.
Through the pandemic, we can never be caught unprepared again. And so many Americans, when COVID hit, they had nothing in the house. Stores were shut down and doctors' offices were shut down. And even if doctors prescribed drugs, hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, pharmacists wouldn't fill the prescriptions. That was a nightmare.
Now the situation is much worse. We have these horrible supply chain problems. In our emergency medical kit at the Wellness Company, we have 8 prescription drugs that are all potentially life-saving.
Most people who died with COVID, they died in the hospital because they didn't receive early treatment.
Every American family should have one of these.
I can tell you the Wellness Company kit is the answer.
I'm David Cross, and you may know me from my election integrity work, but I also own U.S. Asset Management, a family-owned and operated investment advisory practice. I'm a certified portfolio manager, and my job is to help you make better decisions with your money. One of the things we try to avoid is investing in companies that push the woke agenda. If you're invested with one of the big firms out there, there's a pretty good chance that you're feeding the beast that hates your values. Our company is 100% conservative, and we'd love to have an opportunity to work with you. Check us out at us-am.com and look for our big, proud American Eagle logo.
And I want to welcome you all back. One of the things I want to remind everybody, do go to cdm.press. And you had mentioned also our CDM Espanol, very good. I was looking over some of the stuff that Sadie's doing on there, Sadie Burge, and that's a good site. Very well done.
Yeah, it is. And we need to grow that. So if tell your Latin friends, cdmespanol.com.
Yeah, she's done a really good job. I had the chance, first time I had really had her, somebody sit down and walk me through it and everything, and they've done a really nice job. She's done.
Well, they were very professional. You know, Willie Laura, who runs it, built CNN Espanol, so he knows what he's doing. And
we've had Willie Laura on the show as well. Very good, very knowledgeable. So when he's contributing to that page, he's doing it from a very, very experienced place. I mean, knows what's going on out there in geopolitics, and especially when it comes to when it comes to Latin America and what's going on there. So great stuff. CDM.press, you and I came out, I guess it was about a week ago, and we were really all over this idea that CQ Brown was still at the Pentagon, and we were keeping all these people they were the epicenter of the destruction of what was going on while under Lloyd Austin's his tenure at the Pentagon. I mean, as a Secretary of Defense, he was awful. I mean, just did terrible things to the whole structure, making it the huge social experience that lefties always want to do with the military. Everything from the DEI and the transgender movement that was going on in there that, were just so destructive. And now we finally see that, you and I were texting back and forth over the weekend. CQ Brown finally got the axe.
Yeah, and we've been extremely vocal on that, and the other flag officers from my classmate at USAFA, Richard Clark, who's now, I think, with some sports network or organization, General Williams at West Point, and now the new soup at West Point, Steve Jaland. We've been extremely vocal with some of our West Point writers like John Hughes. This is one of them today. West Point Soup lied to Congress. He's got video. He's got proof. It's a very detailed article. I would encourage you to read it. We're trying our best to tell the truth, which is what we do here. It's why we got suppressed. Yeah. But you know what? We're not going to back down for our mandate.
No, and nor should we. But I saw this and I was like, okay, you and we made a lot of noise about this whole thing because I mean, my thing was that after what Milley did to Trump, after he kept these people like Milley and DOD and what they were doing, why would you continue down that same path? You know, you're talking about people that are just gonna work against you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That
I
at
didn't
some point,
understand it, and I don't presume to understand it. I still don't, but I'm glad we got the result with CQ Brown, who was, I call him the DEI pusher. I mean, that's what he was. It's implementing Marxist ideology along with Austin and along with all these other guys inside DOD, and now you have
right?
this, this report about this meeting in the skiff where they were going to work against Trump. So,
And that's
some
what
people are calling that a coup. I don't know, but
And that's what I want to talk about, because it actually was one of the other guys, Alex Jones, brought it out, but it was actually James O'Keefe that did it, and we reported on his video of this probably, I want to say, a month ago. It's been over a month since we talked about the guy that was the ex-FBI guy that had gone over to the Pentagon, and he was over there, and he's also gotten himself in a little bit of trouble because he tried to, there's video out there of him attempting to link up with somebody that quite possibly could have been underage. I don't have proof of that. I just saw the video of it, and there were some people there that it was almost like, those stings they used to do on NBC where they draw them to come to a place, and then this same person was involved in that type of a thing. So we showed that and talked about that probably about a month ago. But this is the same video, but what this video talked about was that you actually had this guy talking to James O'Keefe, and what did he say to him? He said, "Hey, look, we've got this thing. They met in the Pentagon in this thing called the Tank, which is supposed to be a secure, classified area, and the discussions were how to suppress, some of Trump's initiatives within the DOD. How do he said something like protect the people, and it was that kind of nonsense. But and this actually came out, and this was going on just right after the election. And again, we covered this in more detail, but the reason why I want to bring this back up in this discussion with you and with this audience is that one of the reasons that you and I were so frustrated was just this, that if you keep people in that were supportive of the agenda of Biden and the Marxists that were running Washington, D.C. for 4 years, they stayed there and initiated all these very destructive policies, DEI, transgender, you name it. All these very destructive policies that even under the Trump administration, the first one, he said, stop it, knock it off. We're not doing that in the academies. And what did they do? They forged ahead.
Well, they lied. I mean, and I've had this conversation with, people say, oh, well, they were just following orders. Look, okay, I don't think that was a legal order, but that's a debatable thing to implement racism for certain slots in the military. But so what about all the lying, all the programs they were implementing inside the academies, inside of DOD, and then rejecting FOIA requests, not telling anybody what was going on, literally lying about what they're doing. And then we found out later at USAFA, for instance, that they were doing all this stuff. And so that's malicious behavior.
Yeah. And the insubordination, the level of insubordination that was going on under Trump. And the treasonous behavior. I mean, if these generals were out there, and again, I've said it before, I'll say it again, until Milley is held accountable, and I'm not talking about hey, he's going to lose a rank and we're going to cut his retirement down. Screw that. This guy needs to do time if he did what he said, and he's admitted to it.
Yeah.
He wrote it in his book.
I don't know if that was just a way to try to normalize it and make it seem okay in case he did get attacked. But, you behave like that, you have to pay the consequences, right?
And for him, and he wrote it in a book. He went on 60 Minutes and said it, talked about it. I mean, there's not even a denial of it. And at the end of the day, you had no authorization to go behind the commanders in chief's back and and tell the enemy of this country that you would report to them if Trump decided to try to do something.
Well, I mean, look at the example of, for instance, Major Andre in the Revolutionary War, who was a Continental officer and was found out to be coordinating with the Tory troops behind Washington's back and reporting on Washington's movements. And he was, arrested, treated like an officer, and then hung. So I'm not saying hang Millie, but I'm saying there's a precedence for this, right?
And a consequence for that kind of behavior. And there's a legal precedent, and the UCMJ is pretty clear about it. The Uniform Code of Military Justice talks about the behaviors of an officer and what they can and can't do. And look, he took that position. And for him to have done what he did, I don't think the people of this audience in this country should accept anything less than this administration, holding him to account for that treasonous behavior. And I know you'll hear a lot of people in the media throw the term treason around a lot. I hear it all the time. And they do it almost sometimes to try to dilute it and make it, this is an actual, what he did, there is a law against. There is a statute covering this in the military. And so I think we need to see that. But even more so, I want people to understand the significance of what Trump's doing right now. And we said it before, and this was what was frustrating me, was you're keeping people that are going to do a milli on you.
Yeah. And
sure enough, that's what we're finding out, that they were planning on doing this. And that's why Hegseth's got a pretty heavy load there. He's got a lot of work to do, because that is a den of vipers. And if they can bring the Trump administration down, the people that have been in there, they'll do it.
Well, you and I were talking with some of your colleagues at CPAC about the agencies or organizations we used to work for, and how we're kind of heartbroken that people don't want to go into government anymore. It's our responsibility to clean it up. It's got to make sure it gets cleaned up.
Yeah, no, most definitely. You're exactly right. It has to be something you're proud to tell your sons and daughters. This is a good service. It's where you should go. And it kind of goes back. I remember serving, and I had people that worked over me that would talk about this. And one of them said, I believe our sons and daughters owe it to this country to do that, to give service, whether it's, you're working in, whatever, as a civil servant, or whether you go into the military or the intelligence or law enforcement, somewhere where you can serve this country and serve a cause greater than yourself. And I'm all for that. I believe in that. That's how this country stays free and one of the best countries in the world. But when you get into positions like we were these last 4 years, I didn't trust them.
No.
It's a tough way to go. And I know people that are in there now that didn't trust them, that were there for the last 4 years. And it was a pretty hard place to go. So I get it. And that's it. But I think that seeing what Trump's doing with this, with the DOJ right now and with the Pentagon, I think is working. That's what we want to see, right? And I can't say that
keep happening, and I hope they keep the pressure on, because we have the momentum and we can't let them regroup.
Yeah, agree. One of the things I want to do, and we'll do this right on the other side of this next break, but I want to get into this. We've been talking about elections, and we do a lot of it on this show because it's important and we got to get ready. And Peter Benager wrote a great piece on CDM talking about Trump does have the authority as a federal executive and as the president of the United States. In Washington, the Fed does have the authority to come in and affect how elections are conducted at the state level. While it's done by the states, the Fed does have authority to do that. I want to get into that a little bit more. So let's do that right after this break.
It's News from the Edge. It's Output with John Ritchie and L. Todd Wood.
Through the pandemic, we can never be caught unprepared again. And so many Americans, when COVID hit, they had nothing in the house. Stores were shut down and doctors' offices were shut down. And even if doctors prescribed drugs, hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, pharmacists wouldn't fill the prescriptions. That was a nightmare.
Now the situation is much worse. We have these horrible supply chain problems. In our emergency medical kit at the Wellness Company, we have 8 prescription drugs that are all potentially life-saving.
Most people who died with COVID, they died in the hospital because they didn't receive early treatment.
Every American family should have one of these.
I can tell you the Wellness Company kit is the answer.
I'm watching my friends gain more and more weight. And then eventually, I got to tell you, this is a little dark, but bad diet literally killed my whole crew.
Wow.
Diabetes, a stroke. I mean, all kinds of stuff. It's like, you had a stroke? You're not even 50 years old. You guys got to quit eating this stuff. Your body knows what's what. You're not conscious of this. But that's why people will go to the refrigerator and they'll grab this and that and the other and put together this outrageously elaborate combination of foods. Your body's trying to reach balance. Unbeknownst to us, our bodies are always trying to reach homeostasis. You can't eat all of this stuff and expect to live a long time. And one thing led to another, and I went, forget this. We're going to make our own product. So we partnered with one of the world's top 3 biochemists where nutrition-specific study is concerned. I said, all I want is the best nutritional and immune support product in the world. So we mixed it in yogurt. It's a powder. I got a bag of it here. I keep one on the console all the time, just so I can show people.
Yeah.
And it's a powder. Now, this is not candy. This is hardcore nutrition, and sugar is an enemy. And most people do not know that the reason these bellies are showing up on people all over the place, your body makes fat to store the toxins it can't get rid of. So it just puts them over here. But I can tell you this, you take this for 30 days and then lay off of it for 2 or 3 days, and you'll go, good grief, give me some more. Skin, nails, hair growing back. Cut yourself and it heals in half the time.
Hey, John.
You got your new shipment
here, man. I got a new shipment in the mail, so we're good to go. This stuff really kept me going for the last week, traveling all over to Mar-a-Lago, to CPAC, hauling equipment, staying up late, working, meeting people, getting up early, getting back on the computer. So it really was work, and everybody will have a different experience. But go to cdmnutrition.com and check out Nucleo Boost.
Yeah, they've done a good job with that. It's like, I get off this show and I go and do my shake, and it's like, it just boom. Yeah. I'm energized and ready to take on the next segment of the day. So
exactly.
It's good stuff. And it also, what I'm finding that when I take the shake, and I'll make it with some fruit or whatever, but when I'm done and I take it, the eating cessation is not there. I mean, I'm not hungry. I can go through the day and I'm energized, and so it's a nice supplement for your diet, I think. So,
yeah, definitely.
No, definitely go there. cdmnutrition.com. It's a great place to go, and it's a good product. I really like what John and Brendy have done there. Just real quickly, I want to put this cold opening up real fast.
I have some questions about the election in Arizona. Maricopa County, they did the secret testing on the machines, which per the elections procedures manual, you were supposed to oversee, do additional testing on. Did you authorize this? Ms. Hobbs? Ms. Hobbs, what about the signatures on the mail-in ballot affidavits? Are you aware of what those look like? That they look nothing like the signatures of the voter? Ms. Hobbs, as Secretary of State, you oversaw elections in Maricopa County in Arizona. Are you? Fucking rest, Jordan. I'm at the gym. Give it an effing rest. Is that what you said? I sure did.
Okay, so as you can see, Katie Hobbs has no responsibility to have to explain herself to you or any press. She has none whatsoever. And the reason being, and you and I have said this before, is because she doesn't depend on votes. She doesn't care. The voting she gets is just like he was questioning her. He said, what about these ballots? And they've just blocked, same thing we've seen in Georgia, same thing we saw in Philadelphia. This time they didn't get away with it in Philadelphia.
Yeah,
but
she's
one of the
a regime puppet. Yeah, and you're right. Do you remember that when she ran into the bathroom before the last?
Yeah, I was even going to say, when she was running as the governor, and the press caught her and she went into the bathroom to try to avoid having to answer questions. Could you imagine anybody? I'm just asking you, think of anybody in Trump's current sphere or Trump himself running from a microphone. They run to the microphones. They don't run away from Stephen Miller and all these people. They just they love to go after these guys. But one of the things that I think was interesting about this, because it dovetails nicely into what we've been talking about here, and that is that you have a level of election integrity that we're looking for. And one of the things, and the only way I see this ever coming out, is for the federal government to get involved. I think right now, I saw this piece on Katie Hobbs, and it talks about the criminal enterprise she's running up in Maricopa right now. They block, and I say she, it's not her. She couldn't run a lemonade stand. It's the organization behind her, whether it's the funding of these cartels that people like Ruben Gallego had, as part of his campaign for the Senate seat that they just absconded with, whether it's her, whether it's, all these things, they're all part and parcel of the whole problem up there. And there's no way an election is going to go the way they don't want it to go unless somebody intervenes. We had the congressman on this in California, or the person that was running for Congress in California. He talked about it. He says, this is a state of emergency right now. This is a state of emergency. Why? Because no one can get their votes counted in this state. Now, he's talking about California. I'm talking about one county that dictates all of this red state, and it's Maricopa. Same thing there. So it isn't in essence a criminal enterprise. She's just going back to the legislator. They're out $339 million. They've got.
What gets me, John, is you see these people in their daily lives, these criminals. They're at the gym, they're at Starbucks, they get hounded by the grocery store or whatever. And they look like and they are normal Americans going about their daily lives. But the difference is they've made a decision to betray their country.
Yeah.
And I see them just acting normally at the gym. And that's what I don't understand, that disconnect there. It's like, on one hand, they're normal Americans just doing their job like we do. We go to the gym, we go to the grocery store. But on the other hand, they're diabolical criminals. So I don't mesh the two. It's really difficult for me.
And you can see, I mean, she was running very fast there. And it's almost like she's worried about having to respond to this stuff.
And he got to her. Did you hear at the end? He really got to her.
She finally said, give it a break or whatever. I think she even called the guy out by his name. So evidently he's a local reporter. But and now you have in this state, right up there where she is, and this goes into what Beneger's talking about. The Auditor General's office up there is now saying, you're missing $339 million. Where is it? Now they're finding out she's been involved in a housing, Sunshine Residential Homes. They believe she took bribe money for that. We know she took money from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs out in Taiwan. And now we've got the CHIP Act going on, and all the Taiwanese workers from Taiwan semiconductors up there now, and they've got their own little conclave going. My point to this is what happens when these elections get this way. that's just money buying more and more. She's not worried about votes anymore. And she's got Theresa May's. And what's Theresa May's doing up there? She's your attorney general, also part of this whole election thing that's been going on in Maricopa. And what's she doing? Abe Hamadeh. She's the one that's held out the other 500 ballots. They won't count them. Abe would have won. My point to this is, as you see all this happening, they have commandeered the elections in Maricopa, just like in the other places.
Yeah.
And what Bonager's saying is the federal government can force paper ballots per constitution, which is what they don't want up there. Once they get away from the machines and they don't have this level of control. But I'm going to argue that you can have paper ballots, but the federal government also has to enforce access, enforce controls, enforce all the things that need to be done in an election. You cannot have a state just running elections any way they want.
Yeah.
Look at California. California used to have red representatives, red government. Gray Davis was the last one I remember. A real Republican.
I remember him.
Schwarzenegger wasn't, I'm talking about a real, and before him, Reagan. They used to get Republican
who was
governors.
the guy that ended up getting the proposition on the ballot that destroyed California? Or
Gray Davis.
They blame it on him.
They blamed it on him.
Yeah.
But these are the things. And what was it? It was about giving benefits to non-citizens.
Massive benefits. I was reading they get like loans to buy a home,
all kinds of stuff.
Crap. Yeah.
And what did they do? They came after him because of that. And I think the thing that we have to, and this is where I agree with Peter, he says we need to get rid of, you can't have Dominion and ES&S out there doing what they're doing right now with these machines. It's just fraud. There's no reason for it. You don't have to have it. The reason for it was because it was supposed to speed up and make things more accurate. Okay, both things have not happened.
Yeah. Well, it was obviously not for that. It was to steal the election.
Sure it was.
Did you see, there was a report out this morning that I was going to write about it, that Trump is now decided on immigration, that he's declaring tuberculosis threat, so he doesn't have to have any process. He can just kick them out of the country. I found that fascinating. I'm going to do some more research on that, but we'll see.
Interesting. And that's the thing. I agree with Peter on this, and that is that we've got to get to paper ballots and machines and get rid of the machines. We've got to do same-day voting. There isn't anybody that's not for this ID and citizenship. These things poll 70 and 80%. And what you see there with Katie Hobbs and what's going on here in Arizona is exactly what this blogger and that reporter wrote about. And that is that this is a criminal enterprise going on here. And it's just happening here. If this is happening in America, and that's all they had to do. They just had to seize one county.
And it's just as bad in Florida and just as bad
in Florida and everywhere else. Yeah.
Georgia,
the only difference is, at least in Florida, you get a red senator. We got 2 blue senators in a red state. We've got a blue governor in a red state.
Yeah.
We had one of the biggest numbers for President Trump ever. And again, this is nothing. A Trump Gallego ballot is a unicorn.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't exist. There is nobody that came in here and voted millions for Trump. This was one of his biggest wins out of the swing states. But we elected a blue Marxist cartel-connected senator. And what did that do to us? That screwed us up on the Hill.
Sure.
Do you see what I'm saying? We've got work to do, but this is low-hanging fruit here. And where this blogger said the FBI and the DOJ overdue. It's time for you to get involved. You don't even have to go to any of the other screwed up counties in Arizona. You can go to one and fix this state right now.
That's a good point. I hope Trump will. He's talked about paper ballots with the governors. He's talked about getting rid of the machines. I hope there's something behind that, because
you can pick up
all the evil. Yeah,
you can pick up 2 red Senate seats right now in the next elections. You can probably, one of them you get tossed even, That Gallega one was nonsense. I bet if they could get in there and seize ballots and recount them, they could probably redirect that seat. I'm just saying that these are red seats that are just have been commandeered, just like those red congressional seats out in DC as well, or out in not DC, out California as well. Same thing. Same exact thing. But that's a great piece, guys. If you get a chance and you go out and check that out, that is that was done by Peter Benegger. He's a correspondent with us here at CDM. Does some great work. We always have his stuff on here. Really enjoy that. You can follow him on X as well. He's got a good, really great, he's always putting good blogs out there, and he puts some good stuff out here. When we get back, I want to talk a little bit more about this Doge thing. We're hearing a lot about a Doge dividend. You saw we'll look at that cold opening again, because it's pretty interesting. He's got a plan for this, and I think the more we hear people like Johnson come out and go that was Michael Smirkonis. He comes out, we got debt. All of a sudden, everybody's worried about debt. You notice that?
Yeah, Well, now it's a problem. We got to pay down the debt. Or we got to send $400 billion to Ukraine next year. One of the two.
So let's dive into that after this break.
It's News from the Edge. It's Output with John Ritchie and L. Todd Wood.
Well, in the case of hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin, these are two medications that have been FDA approved for use in humans for decades. They are very, very inexpensive. Interestingly, available over the counter in almost every other country other than the US and Canada. You can just walk into a pharmacy and buy them like we buy Tylenol in much of the world because they're that safe. And we've known for decades that ivermectin has very strong antiviral properties. It has anti-inflammatory properties, and both ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine are what we call zinc ionophores. They help to move zinc from the bloodstream into the cell, which is where it needs to be in order to fight off a virus. So lots of application for these, and we have every reason to believe that those drugs also will likely have some efficacy against H5N1 or a number of other respiratory viruses that we may meet down the road.
Our world is changing rapidly. Many crucial systems we depend upon are collapsing. And the most important system that is failing is the food supply.
Mr. President, this Council is more than aware of the multiple challenges and threats the world is facing today. But the threat of famine, people starving slowly to death, must be a red line.
These food prices are going to keep going up and up, and they're going to keep feeding excuse after excuse, narrative after narrative.
Yeah,
you're going to have to get off that treadmill and start getting more autonomous with your own food growing.
You want to make sure that you can eat, because frankly, food is the biggest issue as we are going through these transitions.
But amidst the chaos, there is a path to resilience. Marjorie Wildcraft is the female leader of the survival and preparedness movement. Marjorie has taught millions of people how to grow an abundance of food in a grid-down situation, even if you have no experience, are older, or out of shape.
I've spent decades finding the fastest, easiest, and funnest ways for the average person to be able to grow a lot of food. I've created a step-by-step process that's so simple that even kids to elders have been using it in order to grow a lot of their own food. And you can too, even if you have no experience, you're older, or you're out of shape.
Growing your own food is like printing your own money. Get started today.
And I want to welcome you all back. Remind everybody, remember, we are on all the podcast platforms. We're on all the big ones anyway. We're on Apple on Apple Podcasts. We're on Amazon Music. We're on Spotify and on cdm.press. You can get the audio only there as well. So make sure you go out there if that's what you're into, is the audio only product. It's a good product, and I've listened to it several times. In fact, I was just listening to it while I was traveling back from CPAC. So it's a great platform, great product, and it'll pop right up on your phone. So you can share it, you can subscribe, all that stuff.
We try to get it up right after the show, and it doesn't always happen, but most of the time it's up pretty quickly.
Yeah, it drops on my phone pretty fast. So we always good to, and like I said, if you can follow us and share it, please do as well. I did see RML2X. He was on our comment. He says Biden money is not retired. It's moving it fast in Ukraine. Bet me. And I would agree with you 100%. That money they are trying to get that money out. That's the money that, Lee Zeldin's finding parked in Citibank, all the euphemism they were talking about that we're dumping the gold bars over the Titanic, I think was the video he said. They were trying to shove as much of that money out through USAID and Social Security and Medicare, Medicaid, just getting it out there because got to deploy capital. We talked a little bit about also on our last week, we talked a little bit about the fact that even Orban's come out and said, Soros is out there. He's running around trying to raise capital out in Brussels. Why? Because they're going to have to fund offshore exiled operations. It's just going to happen. And this is the template they use, just like the intel services use it, trying to be able to collect in denied areas where they know they can't put people and run around and collect. They do it through exiled operations, and that's what's going to happen with these guys. So be aware of it. I think it makes they're going to come after it. They're not stopping. They're not finished. I want to talk a little bit about this real quick. Let me key it up with this cold opening real fast.
And then James Fishback, the CEO of Azoria, the originator of the Doge dividend. James, thank you for being here. How did this all come to pass?
Well, good morning, Michael. To tell you the truth, it came to me in a dream. I woke up, I called our head of research at Azoria. We met at Capitol Grill. We fleshed this thing out in 2 hours, and I'm honored that the president has endorsed it. This is a real plan to send the savings that Doge generates over the next couple of years right back into the pockets of hardworking Americans all across this country. They deserve it. It was their money in the first place, and they need a break.
Okay, I'm all for ridding the government of waste, fraud, and abuse. But at some level, isn't it all illusory? In other words, if there's a quote-unquote savings made by Elon Musk and Doge, we're still $36 trillion in debt. So there's no pie to cut up. There's no slice of the pizza that I can hand back to you unless we continue to borrow those funds.
Well, our plan's really simple. Over the next couple of years, Doge will save a set amount of money. We're going to take 20% of that and put it right back in the hands of taxpayers. The other 80, as President Trump has pointed out, will go back to paying down the debt and narrowing the deficit. Here's the truth, Michael. For every $5 that Doge saves, as we believe calculated by the Congressional Budget Office, when this whole project is said and done next summer, for every $5, $1 goes back to the pockets of American taxpayers. Here's why. They sent their money to D.C. to be spent in America, not to be abused, not to be disrespected, and not to be defrauded. That $20 million to Iraqi Sesame Street, that money sent for a transgender opera in Colombia, all at the same time, Michael, that we have roads and bridges crumbling. We're losing 900 Americans every day to deaths of despair, alcoholism, and suicide. 8 out of 10 black American fourth graders are not even reading at grade level. This is pathetic. The Americans sent their money to be spent in America. They were defrauded. They were lied to. They now deserve restitution. And
that's Michael Smerconish on CNN. He's supposed to be like their finance and econ guy. All of a sudden, while he was sitting there all through the Biden administration for the past 4 years, and then also he was around during the Obama years as well. All these media types like him, they always like to talk about waste, fraud, and abuse. WFA, you hear that out of all of them now. They're all for preventing waste, fraud, and abuse. They use that same term.
Except that $4.7 trillion. We're not worried about that.
Yeah. 4.7 trillion's worth of waste, fraud, and abuse from your Medicare, Medicaid wasn't so much of an issue. How about the 178 billion in waste, fraud, and abuse that went on out in the Ukraine for some kind of an idiotic effort that was never going to pan out the way they said, because they never planned on it doing so. There was no war. There was no war to win there. They were trying to get the war going so that they could use your money, waste, fraud, and abuse, right out there in the middle of Eurasia and on a border there that we had no reason. I guess
you want to talk about this later, but the whole Ukraine issue with the Europeans is fascinating. We put out a story this morning on that, so we're up on that more than anyone else, actually.
And I think that's so important because, again, you're going to hear this a lot. I just want you to put it up there, right up there in your mind, because you're going to hear Rachel Maddow on MSNBC and all of our friends on CNN and all of our friends out there in this old legacy media doing old legacy politics that are going to talk about waste, fraud, and abuse like they really care about it now. Now that Doge is in there and they're finding all the fraud and they're saving money and they're helping the American, people and talking about making restitution with the American people for all the billions, trillions that have been stolen from them. They're talking about making you whole now. And all of a sudden, waste, fraud, and abuse are the problem. Yeah. Borrowing money. Michael Smerconish talks about that. Oh, well, this just means we're going to borrow more money. We're going to have to borrow more money. You weren't worried about borrowing money before. But now they're actually talking about giving 80% of what they recover back, paying down debt, securing your border, stopping all this frivolous spending, these frivolous wars, start doing things for the American people. And now we're worried about debt and we're worried about waste, fraud, and abuse.
It's amazing. Like they're all worried about the Constitution now too. So
yeah, the Constitution.
After trampling on it for 4 years.
Yeah. All of a sudden, they're the ones that are going to be the ones protecting democracy, right? What do we say? Democrats are the ones that have been destroying democracy. They've been destroying it like crazy for the past few years, and all we've got to do is we've got to keep our eyes on this, because here's the thing about this dividend. And I think he laid it out fairly well. And I heard Trump lay it out over, when he was talking about it at CPAC. And it's the idea of taking a percentage of savings. Elon Musk has come out and he said, look, we're even going to incentivize people that can come out and show us where waste, fraud, and abuse are occurring.
Well, that's a capitalist, been happening forever. It's a technique to find. It's how people raise money. You pay a percentage. It's how you raise capital on Wall Street. It's very similar. It's like,
no, you're exactly right.
Incentivize money coming in.
And I think one of the things, and I've had this discussion with several people, had some of it with some of the folks there at CPAC about this dividend and this idea how it works. And I said, look, Alaska's been doing this for decades. You and I have talked about this before. Alaska has the oil dividend, the oil pipe
permanent fund.
Yeah, the permanent fund is what they call it. And they don't fill out an income tax form and hand it in and pay income taxes. They fill out a permanent fund form so that they can collect their dividend check, because Sarah Palin and the folks that worked on that and put that whole thing together up there, I mean, that's what they said. That oil belongs to the people of Alaska. Those resources belong to the people of Alaska. Well, that's kind of like a sovereign fund. That's what you're talking about. You're talking about taking the assets of a country, monetizing them, but monetizing them in the name of the people, the citizens that have a right to those assets and that monetization. I think it's a great idea. I think it's, I was telling my son this and I said, look, I think with what Trump's doing, he's going to put equity in your life, in your children's lives, and you're going to get it for one reason, for being a citizen of one of the greatest nations in the world. That's why you're going to get it. You're not going to have to go out and what you do on the side with your job and everything, that'll be your thing. But what this is an investment in you as a citizen of this great nation. And I think it's a great idea. I don't see anything wrong with it at all. So hopefully that'll keep going, but that gives you some insights on this whole dividend. One of the things when we get back, we also had Elon Musk come out over the weekend, and he wrote out an email to everybody. He says, hey, I need you to give me 5 bullet points on what you worked on last week. Everybody's hair's on fire now about it because they got to actually be accountable for what they've been doing in the office. So we're going to get into that. And then we've got She Van Fleet. She's going to join us at the quarter after the hour. I'm looking forward to having her on because we're going to get into things on China. Did you have something, Todd?
I was going to say, did you see the girl who had just had Elon's son, Ashley St. Clair? Did you see the tweet that they found about her?
Yes. It's
like,
all coming out.
I'm going to seduce Elon, so I want a rocket baby or something like that.
A rocket baby. That's hilarious. And how many? I think Elon's got like 10 kids, 12 kids. I mean,
13, actually.
13. He's got a lot of kids out there.
Baby mamas. He's got a lot of baby mamas. But, I just found that, I mean, wow. I'm going to seduce Elon. And,
I saw that.
I'll take one for the team, she said, so I can have a rocket baby.
Right. So she can have a rocket baby. That's crazy, isn't it? But anyway, we'll get into that in this email he put out over the weekend. We'll get into that right on the other side of this break.
It's News from the Edge. It's Output with John Ritchie and L. Todd Wood.
If you haven't noticed, gold has reached a new high, all-time highs actually, and keeps going up every day. Why is that? It's because precious metals are a long-time historical store of value. And if you own a portfolio and you have assets in the fiat currencies, i.e. stocks, bonds, cash, or whatever, you're vulnerable to hyperinflation, which is coming as our debt explodes another trillion every 90 days. It's really scary. So how do you protect yourself? Go to Advisor Metals. If you look on any of our cdm.press sites, about halfway down, there's an ad for Advisor Metals. Click on it, fill out the form for your contact info, and Ira Bishotsky will contact you and talk to you. It's an easy conversation. There's no sales pitch. He's completely verified by us. He has a regulatory background we've checked into. We've checked with his bankers. We've checked with his IRA custodians for metals, and we can highly recommend Advisor Metals and IRA. So go to Advisor Metals. If you call them directly, tell them we sent you at CDM, and he'll definitely take care of you. But protect your portfolio because you really need to. It's coming. Thank you.
My friends gain more and more weight, and then eventually I got to tell you, this is a little dark, but bad diet literally killed my whole crew.
Wow.
Diabetes, a stroke, I mean, all kinds of stuff. It's like, you had a stroke? You're not even 50 years old. You guys got to quit eating this stuff. Your body knows what's what. You're not conscious of this, but that's why people will go to the refrigerator and they'll grab this and that and the other and put together this outrageously elaborate combination of foods. Your body's trying to reach balance. Unbeknownst to us, our bodies are always trying to reach homeostasis. You can't eat all of this stuff and expect to live a long time. And one thing led to another, and I went, forget this. We're going to make our own product. So we partnered with one of the world's top 3 biochemists where nutrition-specific study is concerned. I said, all I want is the best nutritional and immune support product in the world. So we mixed it in yogurt. It's a powder. I got a bag of it here. I keep one on the console all the time, just so I can show people.
Yeah.
And it's a powder. Now, this is not candy. This is hardcore nutrition. And sugar is an enemy. And most people do not know that the reason these bellies are showing up on people all over the place, your body makes fat to store the toxins it can't get rid of. So it just puts them over here. But I can tell you this, you take this for 30 days and then lay off of it for 2 or 3 days, and you'll go, good grief, give me some more. Skin, nails, hair growing back. Cut yourself and it heals in half the time.
Welcome back. One of the things, have you been reading about this gold situation out of London?
Is
They
the
can't
gold
even-
out of London or Fort Knox? Which one?
Well, the one I think there's a connection here.
Yeah.
I think the dots are getting bigger. But I was reading over the weekend that or late last week, the Bank of London and the gold that they normally have to ship out, they don't have the gold liquidity.
Oh, there's a shortage. We reported that several weeks ago that all of these people want their gold back, and it's like a run on the bank. They don't have it to give out, so they're having to scramble to get it.
Right. And now, and that kind of leads into, CDM metals and what we're doing here. I mean, we're trying to make sure people have access to these things, because when something when you lose liquidity and there's not a lot of it out there, no surplus, nothing, it goes up in price, right? And there's a good chance. And I'm not giving anybody any kind of investment. I'm just saying metals.
Oh yeah,
metals,
you got to be aware of it. It's a store
Yep.
value, and that store value is going to get more expensive. I think we're going to go into a recession, so it's really important. So go to CDM Metals, talk to Advisor Metals, tell them we sent you. That's important, and they'll take care of it. Especially even if you've got an IRA. A lot of people think, well, I can't invest in precious metals because I have an IRA. Actually, you can move some of that into precious metals with Advisor Metals, and they'll do it for you.
Sure.
And you can actually go visit it and look at it in the safe if you
Yeah.
want. So interesting concept, and take a look at it.
A lot going on there. I saw Elon came out and said about this gold and auditing Fort Knox. He says, I think the thing we ought to do is live stream it. Let everybody see it. See, that level of transparency is just so amazing. And the people of this country, some of them are so starved for it. Others are just shocked by it.
Yeah.
Because they've never had it before.
Well, I mean, this whole thing about tell us what you've done, 5 things you've done in the last week, or you're fired or put on leave, like today, right? I mean,
yeah, it's
amazing. By the way, our Rumble streams are dropping. I don't know really why, but we'll have to re-upload those. It's a little scary. Both of them, 2 in a row. That's interesting. So we'll check that out. We'll re-upload them. But by the way, we got a good comment. You guys are cool, says Mel Side.
Well, thanks, Mel. Appreciate it. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, exactly.
We're glad to have you here. One of the things, going to what you were talking about Elon Musk. Now, here we go. Everybody's coming out and they're going, how come I've got to put my, I think he came out in the email, said, give me 5 bullet points. It won't take you a minute. I need you to give me 5 bullet points of what you worked on last week, because now you're back in the office, right? What are the 5 things you worked on last week? And everybody's coming out and going crazy. I think Kash Patel came out. He just got into the FBI and he says, we're going to do our own independent review. So he just told his people, don't fill that out, because I think he's saying, you're going to fill that out for me. I'm going to be the one driving this. I don't think it was to undermine Elon in any way. It was just he wants to be hands on there.
Well, that's normal and in a fair position, right?
Yeah,
and your own people.
And by the way, he now has Dan Bongino. Looks like Dan Bongino is going to be his deputy over there.
Fantastic.
I saw that in the news this morning as well. But one of the things that I liked about what Elon did was everybody was coming out and going crazy about it. And Elon said, the reason why this matters, he tweeted it firsthand and said, the reason why this matters is that a significant number of people who are supposed to be working for the government are doing so little work that they're not even checking their emails at all. And he said, in some cases, we believe non-existent people or entities of dead people are being used to collect paychecks.
So think of the brilliance of that strategy, right? I mean, that's why they're trying to shut it down, because if the guy doesn't exist, he obviously can't email back.
He's not emailing back. And he's already said, I like this as in the email he sent out to everybody. He says, look, if you don't email me back, I'm going to assume that's your resignation.
Yeah.
So can you imagine somebody who's been out there propping up dead guys' emails? He's having to run around and sign on to everybody's account.
Bernie's on steroids, man.
That's it. But you and I have had this discussion. I've said it before. There are generational jobs out there. father, son, mom, son, grandson going into these federal positions.
Family business.
It's a family enterprise. That's it. They've just been running their own business on your tax dollars, by the way.
Yeah.
Your tax dollars. So I wanted to make sure that got out there. I wanted people to see this and understand why what Elon Musk did was so important. Elon probably really doesn't care much about what you did last week, the 5 things you did. What he's caring about is how many people am I going to be able to take off the chessboard today and save people money. And all he's going to do is his algorithm's going to go through, and anybody that doesn't respond, boom, kicked off, resign.
Yeah, he said that. I think he said he would put them on leave to investigate. So
right, to see what's happened.
Yeah.
But you can see what he's talking about. He says there is outright fraud on these things, and he knows it. He's seeing it, and he wouldn't even be doing this if he didn't already have information about it. Right? We've said this before. I'll say it again. I think most of what Elon Musk is doing right now, he started well before Trump ever won that election. He's been able to put this case together and show the level. I remember one time hearing, I think it was Zuckerberg or one of the bros out in Silicon Valley came out and said they believe that our government's probably consists of 50% fraud in their budget. 50%. And I remember Elon Musk came out and he was kind of head shaking. He's 50%. You're lowballing. He believed it was more. And that's why I'm saying, I think so much, and you and I talked a little bit with Bill Quinn. He does our Georgia record. And we were talking about him at CPAC about it. And we introduced him to EKO Lovejoy, remember?
Yeah, yeah.
And I think so much of that we're seeing now play out. This idea that he had to have so much more of this going on before before Trump ever got in there. Because he had to be able to make these kind of, and I've also said, I can guarantee he's not offering 20% back on the money he's saving if he hasn't found a ton of money. Right?
Yeah. Well, maybe he will pay down the debt and give us all $5,000
and still give you. And that's probably going to grow as well, because I think more and more savings are going to come back to the American people. So we'll see how that, goes about. But anyway, we're going to go to a quick break. We're waiting on She Van Fleet. She's going to join us after the quarter hour here. And so hopefully we will have her on the other side of the break. And let's go ahead and drop into a break real quick.
It's News from the Edge. It's Output with John Ritchie and L. Todd Wood.
You woke up with a sore throat and a low-grade fever. You know you are getting sick, so here's your choices. You can get sicker and miss work. Try to see a doctor this week, or sit hours in a crowded waiting room at urgent care.
I have a smarter option for you. Open your medical emergency kit. Match your symptoms to doctor-recommended prescription in your booklet and take the right meds now and get well faster.
This is not a first aid kit. It's like having an urgent care in your home. It includes doctor-prescribed medications to treat over 39 medical issues like respiratory infections, strep throat, pneumonia, UTIs, and more.
No waiting to see the doctor and no standing in line at the pharmacy. It's right here.
Every home should have at least one medical emergency kit, and here's how to order.
Order online fast and save $45. Your kit with prescriptions to treat common and life-saving illnesses is rushed to your door. Visit twc.health/CDM, promo code CDM. That's twc.health/CDM, promo code CDM.
This is a special report.
Knowing how to invest your money is harder than ever before. Dealing with stock market volatility, record debt, and terrorist attacks requires new thinking. At U.S. Asset Management, we can help you see the world more clearly so that you can move beyond the chaos and invest with confidence. Call us, visit us online, or drop by our office. U.S. Asset Management, helping you make better decisions with your money.
And I want to welcome everybody back. Go ahead, Todd.
I said I confirmed with her. I'm gonna try to see what's going on right now, but go ahead.
Okay. No, I've got something. I've got something else I want to go into here real quickly while we're waiting. But this is a. We were talking earlier. You and I were discussing what's going on with Germany right now. Now, like I said, you have the AfD. They've come in and they've started. They had some pretty good wins yesterday in the German election, and we've had people on, and you'd mentioned covering this on Eurobytes quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do get a chance, make sure you go on to cdm.press and check out Eurobytes. It's the show. These guys come out of Europe. They have firsthand knowledge about what's going on there. Can really give you some good insights. But one of the things that was interesting to me is we have I'm going to put this discussion on hold till the next segment.
Sure.
We have She Van Fleet. She's with us now. I'm going to go ahead and bring her in. Why don't we do that right now? Hey, She, how are you?
Okay.
It's good.
Thank you for inviting me to.
No, absolutely. I had the opportunity, had you on my show previously, and we had the opportunity to talk about. I believe at the time you had just released your new book, but we were talking about a lot of what was going on in China, and this was pre-election. So you and I were discussing a lot of what we were seeing with the young people and what was going on. And actually, we ended up doing quite well with young people in this election. Luckily, we got a lot of them on track of where we wanted to go. But one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is, we're seeing Trump. He just came out recently and he says, look, I want to bring Russia, China, to the table. I want to get them to the table, and I want to have discussions about, peace in Ukraine and all this other stuff. Now, I've read some other stuff that has said, I think Trump's more interested in getting Russia away from China. He's more interested in decoupling with China. I think he's very mad at China right now. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm not an expert on the geopolitics, but I do believe that I think everything I've seen so far is really geared towards China.
Yeah.
Almost everything. So China, I really truly believe that he and his administration understands that's our ultimate threat. And I just have a discussion with a weapon expert last night at the dinner with a group of people, and he believed that Russia is our enemy. I said yes, but no, I think the ultimate enemy is China, and Russia and China. They do not get along. We almost had a war, nuclear war, in the 70s, and and they don't trust each other. Putin does not trust Xi Jinping, and then the same is on the other side. It's us. Our bad policy pushed Russia into the arms of CCP, and I think I think it's a wise move to decouple them.
Well, if you think about it, if there was unrestricted warfare by China against the U.S., what would you want to do? You'd want to push Russia into China's arms, right? And so maybe this was all a big, game to get exactly what happened, to move Russia into China instead of.
I believe so. I absolutely believe so, and that's why I feel like the people just don't quite get it. And China is everywhere. China's infiltration into our political system, into our entire country, every institution, everything. I would say everything is infiltrated, including now I become a victim. And because
tell us about that with your X account. Yeah,
it's been taken, and it has to be CCP. There is just no doubt about it, and it's very sophisticated. And I think they probably even hacked into X.
So tell us what happened.
Tell us about it,
please.
Okay, so I have been very, very vocal on X about anti-CCP, anti-woke, anti-everything communism, because it's all the same. They are all the same. But lately, I have been tweeting things, asking questions about this new shining darling of the conservatives, Lindy Lee. She confessed into MAGA overnight. And she is now promoted everywhere in Fox. Basically, Fox is mainly responsible for the big promotion, and Newsmax. And they don't ask questions. They don't ask basic questions, and the questions that require a little bit of critical thinking, they don't. And then all this big conservative influence fell for it. And promoting her like if and she is the future of young people that were just going to defect. They just see the light overnight after they
She used to be big lefty early on, Lindsay Lee, right? I mean,
huge.
she was always on the left media, and she
Always.
railed against the MAGA and Trump and all that stuff.
Not only that, if you do just a little bit digging, you don't have to be an expert. Do a little bit digging in Chinese. She has a CCP affiliated organization here supporting her, and she is featured. She was featured in Chinese official media, CCTV, Central Chinese Central TV television. It is the CCP's mouthpiece promoting her and say that she is bright new star, 24 years old, running for Congress to represent Chinese. That is a red flag. There's a lot of those people are posting, not even me, because even though I follow her, I did not do much research until those, and then I just did the Chinese search. It's out there. It's not, you don't need much to find out. There's some questions. I'm just saying questions, but no one on the right with influence and power are asking. So she was now on the a few days ago. She was on the Laura Trump show. Laura said, "You're welcome. You always have a place in a GOP." Of what? It's power. It's not just she's come to our side. No, she is trying to get into. Okay, I don't know anything. I just have questions. Because of that, my account was hacked. What happened
so what
is
Twitter saying to you? Are they Zach's coming back and saying we're going to help you, or what?
No one. I have been reaching out to a lot of people, and because this is a sophisticated attack, I cannot get to. They removed my phone number and an address and of the email address. I think that they can't reach me, and I have been asking people for help, people that I know that might know someone there. I haven't got much luck. So why then? This is something that the conservatives should pay attention. Why they attack me now? You can just go back to my X account and my last few posts. It's very, very obvious. I have been talking about the same thing for 4 years, and there's something new is this.
Interesting.
I've heard, go into what you're saying, there's been a lot of people that have really kind of questioned this Lindsay Lee you're talking about, and questioned why all of a sudden, and it happened right after Trump won the election, and then or going into the election, and all of a sudden when the when he had a lot of momentum and things started going the way of the America First people, all of a sudden she flipped, and now, like you said, and this is the kind of stuff that I said it before. I said it about this sheriff out in California. Same thing there. We always get had when we do this. People who have never supported any of these, whether it's the immigration issue, whether it's the China issue, whether it's the this ridiculous Ukraine issue. Anytime you get behind these, you see these people and they never supported it until all of a sudden they do now.
And this, to me, is something that the conservatives, people like you, should let other conservatives know. We're in a more dangerous time, even though we won, because before our opponent is clear, kind of. There is a line there. Now, because we won, and a lot of people come over. They don't come over just to support the cause. They come over for power, and I think this is the water is muddier than ever, And so this is something, and I think people need to know. And I want to make this a household term in America, United Front. Have you heard about it? Todd, you probably have heard.
Yes.
Yeah, that I just talked to a friend of mine, and he is pretty familiar with Chinese politics. He did not even understand what that means. That is a harmless word term, and it started with Lenin. Lenin come up with this strategy and taught the CCP. CCP used this strategy to defeat the nationalists. Not only that, and it also deceived Americans, including George Marshall, including Truman and FDR. What it is, forget about United Front. Just translate it into something different. Infiltration. That's it. That is what it is. And infiltrate your enemies. And who are CCP's enemies? It's the people that in China, it's the people that are dissidents, the ethnic groups. They always buy the top. They use this for Uyghurs. They use it for Tibetans. They buy and take control of their leaders, and then after their win in 1949, they established a department. And it's called United Front Work Department. And they devoted so much time and resources and into it. And in the CCP claim, they have 3 magic weapons to win victory. One is armed struggle and violence. That's what they do. They use violence to achieve their political goals. Another is party building. They built this party that no one can say anything, can question anything, make it just one piece, just like Democratic Party. They vote one voice. They never have dissidents. The third is United Front, to really dismantle your enemy from within. And that's infiltration. That is.
Well, we've been dealing with some infiltration here at CDM, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Everywhere, and they will silence people like me, and then they will buy off people who can be bought, and so many people were bought, and so many Chinese dissidents here were bought. They came here for freedom, and they were fighting against CCP in China, and now a lot of them were bought.
She, one of the things, and you talk about this bought in unrestricted warfare and within the Chinese, discussions, they always like to use the term capture, right? Capture, whether it's academic capture, whether it's political capture, corporate capture. All that is what you're talking about. It's bribery. And it's an infiltration. That's really what they use the term capture because it sounds more professional. It doesn't sound so criminal. But the term capture is only what you're talking about there. And it's infiltration and it's bribery. It's corruption. Very embedded.
It's more than money. That's what you need to people need to understand. Some people don't need money. They have money, but they have something else. Whatever they want, CCP seems to be able to offer. So like scholars, they want fame. They want to have their research somehow be published and use an unethical, whatever. If you have a desire, and the CCP might just have an answer for you. And that's why it's not just money. It's more than money and power. Once you get power, right? You need money to get to power. Once you get power, you have money.
Right. And that's where when people see, and Todd and I talk about this all the time, you see somebody like Mitch McConnell. Why does Mitch McConnell work so hard against his constituents, his Republican constituents?
What?
He's bought. Absolutely.
Do you know the story? I'm writing my second book, and it is really about the United Front, how Chinese deceived the United States, and then not just deceived, some of them are fellow travelers. That's another problem.
Yeah.
The Democratic Party is now Communist Party. They share the same goal, destruction of America. But I touched about his wife.
Yeah. Ciao.
Yeah. His wife's fortune, which is also the fortune for Mitch McConnell and his campaign, and it's for CCP.
It's the shipping company. Yeah.
Yes.
It's all,
Yes.
And when you tell people, I had this discussion with somebody, and they said, "Well, he just owns a company over there. He's an American." I said, "Nobody owns a company in China that is not doing the work of the CCP. If you can't do the work, you won't be there. You'll
also
never make money. You'll never be successful. They won't even
Exactly.
let you open your doors. They'll shut you down. They'll shut
And,
you down."
You can see that the shipping company's fortune rise together with the same time when the Mitch McConnell's political influence rise. It's the same thing. And you know what happened to Ellen Zhao's sister?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
the one that in Texas, the one that
Yeah.
had the EV accident.
The web is just so wide, and a lot of people refuse to look at it. That's why we need to poke it. We need to bring this awareness to MAGA, to the conservatives that made MAGA successful. Now the leadership, a lot of them are just not listening to the base, and I think that is alarming. And
well, that's where media comes in, and we have to hold our feet to the fire with our media company and others. It's very important.
And Fox and Newsmax, do you have a brain?
Yeah. No, I mean those outlets, and especially I've railed against Fox for a while. I mean, those outlets they're not in support of.
I know.
They're corporatists.
I know. But we need to bring this awareness to people, and this is especially this time. And this is not time to relax. This win is our only fighting chance to get our country back. If we squander it, that's it. That will be the end of everything.
Completely agree.
Yeah. You said you're working on a new book.
Yes.
When do you think you're going to have that ready?
I think it's next year. I'm working really hard, and this will be the history. This book will be the history. How the United States of America helped CCP to come to China, to grow, to take over China, and then revived it when it was just about to die. And Nixon and revived it. And now with all the help of the American elite, and here we are.
The first Bush administration, Scowcroft during
everybody.
They did what they did in Tiananmen, and then they rewarded them by letting them into the WTO. It's awful.
This is when you say that, this is an absolutely American tragedy. And Reagan won the war against Soviet communism, but he did not understand Chinese communism. And so since Nixon, since the very beginning, basically since FDR, the American politicians and elites and diplomats and whatever, China hands, now China experts, they misread, sometimes I think deliberately. Of the CCP. That's why we have now CCP as our number one enemy. And I was talking to this a weapon expert last night, and I mentioned earlier, and he said now we don't have advantage over, technically over the Chinese military, and even today, if they don't get any new technology or steal new technology from us, they're good for 50 years. What they got, it is a dire situation, and he still wonder whether the Trump administration understand we have no time. We have no time. Agreed. Every minute we need to do something to stop the to shrink the gap, to widen the gap.
Right.
It's so bad.
Tell us about your first book. Where can people get it? What's it called?
Yes, and yeah, you can get it pretty much anywhere books are sold, and Amazon probably is the easiest place. And it's called Mouse America: A Survivor's Warning. I tell you one quick story. You should be able to find it anywhere, like a Barnes and Noble. So I went there. I know that it's there in that bookstore. I called before I went. I could not find it. They have 3 copies there. They hid it in whatever places you can't find it. And so I have to talk to the manager, and then they located in 3 different places and put it on new release. That was a year ago. But that is the kind of thing you have to deal with, the woke corporations, including.
Well, for your next book, we have a publishing company. So if you're not happy, let us know.
Yeah, we'll carry it on our publishing company.
Thank you. The same publisher. They are very supportive. Yeah, but
Okay,
I
good,
know.
good. Good
Yeah,
to hear.
and,
Good to hear.
I think I will continue to do. So I consider my job and educating American people and of the danger of communism. And I've been working really hard about it. And I was in Victims of a Communist Foundation. Do you know that?
Yeah.
There's a foundation called the Victim of Communism in DC. It's a very small museum, but at least we have one there. And I talked to them. I said, we should make 1 month, Anti-Communism History Month. People absolutely have very little idea of communism.
I agree.
Well, we'll have
I
you back
agree.
soon, Xi. Thank you for your time.
Definitely so. And the book is Mouse America. Had a chance to see it when you released it last year. Great book. If you get a chance, get out there and check that out. And thank you very much, Xi, for coming on.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
It's News from the Edge. It's Output with John Ritchie and L. Todd Wood.
Through the pandemic, we can never be caught unprepared again. And so many Americans, when COVID hit, they had nothing in the house. Stores were shut down and doctors' offices were shut down. And even if doctors prescribed drugs, hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, pharmacists wouldn't fill the prescriptions. That was a nightmare.
Now the situation is much worse. We have these horrible supply chain problems. In our emergency medical kit at the Wellness Company, we have 8 prescription drugs that are all potentially life-saving.
Most people who died with COVID, they died in the hospital because they didn't receive early treatment.
Every American family should have one of these.
I can tell you the Wellness Company kit is the answer.
Watching my friends gain more and more weight. And then eventually, I got to tell you, this is a little dark, but bad diet literally killed my whole crew.
Wow.
Diabetes, a stroke. I mean, all kinds of stuff. It's like, you had a stroke? You're not even 50 years old. You guys got to quit eating this stuff. Your body knows what's what. You're not conscious of this. But that's why people will go to the refrigerator and they'll grab this and that and the other and put together this outrageously elaborate combination of foods. Your body's trying to reach balance. Unbeknownst to us, our bodies are always trying to reach homeostasis. You can't eat all of this stuff and expect to live a long time. And one thing led to another, and I went, forget this. We're going to make our own product. So we partnered with one of the world's top 3 biochemists where nutrition-specific study is concerned. I said, all I want is the best nutritional and immune support product in the world. So we mix it in yogurt. It's a powder. I got a bag of it here. I keep one on the console all the time, just so I can show people.
Yeah.
And it's a powder. Now, this is not candy. This is hardcore nutrition. And sugar is an enemy. And most people do not know that the reason these bellies are showing up on people all over the place, your body makes fat to store the toxins it can't get rid of. So it just puts them over here. But I can tell you this. You take this for 30 days and then lay off of it for 2 or 3 days, and you'll go, good grief, give me some more. Skin, nails, hair growing back. Cut yourself and it heals in half the time.
So, John, they're not giving up on bird flu. This is the Wellness Company's contagion kit.
Yep.
It's got a nebulizer in it and all the steroids. If you do get some kind of pneumonia-like respiratory issue, you can go to twc.health/CDM, promo code CDM, and get 10% off. But take care of your family. Check out all the products. They have the emergency medical kits with the antibiotics, the spike support formula. This is the ultimate spike detox right here. If you have somebody been vaccinated, check that out. But twc.health/CDM, promo code CDM.
And you know what's great about TWC is, and you said it, it's the idea of being able to get something tailored for what your needs are. And used to be TWC, you just got here's the health and wellness kit. Take that and you'll be better. Now you can start going in and look and going, this is something I'm dealing with. This is something I'm dealing with. This is something we're worried about. You can put that thing, that kit together and tailor it more to what your needs are. So TWC, make sure you go there. It's a good product, and they're doing good things there.
By the way, we got both our Rumble channels dropped. We got a great comment. YouTube working well. They are, dare I say, better than what? Laugh Out Loud. Great show. So we're on YouTube. So
thanks, Michael. Appreciate that. At least YouTube seems to be the one that's coming through for us today. I guess it's
kind of
it
weird.
could be because
I don't know what's going on with Rumble.
Well, because Dan Bongino left them and went over to the FBI.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden they're starting to have problems. I don't know. I'm just joking, but we don't normally have that many problems with Rumble, but this is. We've seen this a couple of times here recently. So yeah, if you're not able to get in on Rumble, run over there to YouTube. We're on there streaming live finally, and so that's a good thing. Hey, have you seen this thing? We've seen a lot of this. Jeffrey Sachs has been coming out. He's been doing interviews with with Tucker and all these other people, especially going into this election. But like recently, you've seen more and more where people are starting to do the same thing that she Van Fleet was talking about. They're starting to release things he's done in the past, because all of a sudden he's starting to rear his head into a lot of these conservative spaces and throwing out some elements of support in some of the places. But one I saw that was really interesting to me, and it was from an influencer online, and he says, here's Jeffrey Sachs, and he was one of the masterminds behind this invasion of the southern border. He crafted the idea of using Catholic charities to support the migration into the U.S. And this guy cites in his book Ethics in Action, which includes a foreword by Pope Francis. Sachs lays out the plan to use Catholic charities and taxpayer funds to fuel the crisis. I think this is interesting, and this guy, this influencer, he kind of throws down the receipts here. He says, you can go right here and read it. You don't take my word for it, right? So, but I thought that was interesting because we've seen more and more of how Sachs has kind of gotten in there, and he's been a part of the whole, gotten a little bit into some of the tech and the bro stuff and the Elon stuff and all that. And then all of a sudden people are coming out and saying, some of this problem we're dealing with, you were part of one of the planners.
That's interesting. I didn't see that. That's interesting.
Yeah. So if you get
he's just been focusing on Russia primarily.
Yeah. Yeah. And now all of a sudden he's come out. We're finding a lot of other interesting things. I want to play a quick cold opening. We got a couple of minutes here. I want to play a quick cold opening. This is Ursula von der Leyen. She's the head of the EU. I want you to hear this real quickly because I got something I want to discuss about this. This is her. Listen.
And finally, it takes resilience. As technology evolves, we need to build up societal immunity around information manipulation. Because research has shown that pre-bunking is much more successful than debunking. Pre-bunking is basically the opposite of debunking. In short, prevention is preferable to cure. Perhaps if you think of information manipulation as a virus, instead of treating an infection once it has taken hold, that is debunking. It is much better to vaccinate so that the body is inoculated. Pre-bunking is the same approach. Because disinformation relies on people passing it on to others.
I wanted you to hear that because she's talking about and I wanted to play that because here's Ursula. She's out there and she's talking about censorship. That's what that is. That's all
She
that
wants
is.
censorship. Yeah.
Yeah, she wants censorship. Why? Because Vance came over there, pulled out the wood and took it to them.
Mm-hmm.
As they say, bark and all, right? He took it to them and said, there's your problem. It's not Russia. It's not Ukraine. It's not. Your problem is you're not even letting your people, you're going after people for speaking.
Well, did you see all the European flunkies run to Kiev today? And what did the official, I think she was the head of something in Denmark, she said, the threat of peace is now greater than a continuing war. That was her quote.
She said that peace was the threat.
Peace is the threat. Yes.
Right.
It's amazing. I mean, they need this war. I mean, I think we're getting close to the reality here is that this is in one aspect probably enabled by a lot of the matrix globalist operatives. They need this war to push Russia. They're very afraid of Russia and the US coming together.
Yeah. Yeah. And here's the thing I'm telling you, going back to what we talked about 2 segments ago, these exiled operations, that is what they're doing. I've always told you they'll find friendly territory, geolocations that they can go to. Friendly are going to be Germany. Starmer's over here in DC right now. I saw Macron. Did you see him? Trump didn't even come out the front door and welcome him at the White House.
No,
and that's a state visitor, and Trump didn't even open the door for him and come out and meet him.
They make him not.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm surprised he didn't have to ring the doorbell or something, right? But my point to this is Trump knows what these people are. And that right there was a response to Vance. Vance goes over there and talks, you all have a problem and it's a censorship problem. They're coming out and talking about pre-bunking and debunking. And
that's all just sloppy, crazy,
uncontrolled speech is the virus. Yeah, that's all it is.
It's 1984 stuff, war is peace, etc.
Yeah. And what's that a response to also? Because you got Trump going in and going, we're going to close down what's going on in Ukraine. We're going to get deals going between Russia and pull them out of there and pull them away from China. And now you're trying to steal elections in Romania right now. You just had a court come out and go, yeah, we're going to go ahead and erase those results. I mean, and now
also the election fraud in Germany, there's a lot coming out on that. It hasn't been really looked at yet, but there's a lot of irregularities happening in Germany.
Right. And what else did you see in Germany? What did they say right before? They said, well, we could see us having to do the same thing Romania did. Having to have a judge come in and, take apart an election. Why? Mm-hmm. Because having nationalists in charge and free speech and free and freedom and liberty is much more a danger to their societies. Why? Because they're Marxists. Just understand this. They're not talking, they use democracy, switch democracy out for Marxism. Just do it.
What year did Orwell write? 1984? I mean, because this is what year did he write it? Like in the 50s or 40s?
Yeah, it was in the 50s. You can tell.
So, I mean, this is like that coming war is peace. I mean, that's essentially what this woman said in Denmark. You know, fascinating. Yeah. I mean, this has been 100-year revolution, just like I forget Michael, with the guy that wrote the 100-year marathon. Pillsbury. He's spot on. This has been a long-term thing they've been building, and we don't have much time to take it down, and we've just gotten started as far as this fight's concerned. So you got to redouble your efforts for your grandchildren and get out there and get in those civics organizations and local jurisdictions and get busy.
And they're not going to go away. I mean, that's the thing. They're going to continue. And right now, they're not going to be here. Here's an example. I mean, you have Elon's also been going as part of this whole Doge thing. He's going after these these scams with the foreign aid now. And who's he calling out? He's calling out Bill and Hillary Clinton. He came out over the weekend and he said the USAID Haiti scam has exposed 4.4 billion spent on 6 homes that were built in Haiti. 6 homes, 4.4 billion. Now he's saying Haitian companies got just 2% of the money that was allocated. 2% in 2016. A Haitian reporter had put out there, and he said the whole world has given billions. Then Bill and Hillary Clinton stole it. This is the lawyer for or the a reporter out of Haiti that was reporting on this. Where is the money Hillary Clinton raised with the Clinton Foundation? Haiti did not get even 2%. So, Mr. Trump, we are asking you, begging you, the Haitian community will side with you if one day you ask Hillary Clinton publicly to disclose the audit of all the money they have stolen from Haiti in 2010 from the 2010 earthquake. Now, they've come out and they've said 56%, while 56% of this is the Wall Street apes that are reporting this, some folks that I follow on X, they're reporting that up to 56% of it has lined the pockets of DC firms.
Well, as Trump said, Hillary said it takes a village, so she took 2 of them.
She took, so right. And this is stuff that's already going to come. It's going to come out, and they know it's coming out. They know we're going to see.
Well, did you also see that there? I think Alina Habba is saying the Epstein list is coming.
Yeah,
soon.
Yeah. Well, and she's saying, what's her name? Pam Bondi saying she's got the list now. It's on her desk. Now, I heard a guy come out over the weekend, and he said, "Pam, I understand. You got the list. You got JFK. You got Martin Luther King. It's all on your desk right now, and you're reviewing it." He said, "No more stalling, though.
Yeah.
Stop it. You'd have nothing to review. It should have been put out 5 years ago when Trump said to declassify and get this stuff out. Right now, you're just delaying something and it opens the door for other crap to happen."
Yeah.
He said, this guy said,
people to intervene. If it doesn't happen, people can stop it.
And what he was saying was, stop telling us you got it. The next thing ought to be publishing it. It shouldn't be telling us about it. We don't want to hear you got it. Everybody's had it. He says, the JFK files are sitting right there. He says, he's in Maryland. He says, they're right up the road in Maryland. They've been there for decades.
Oh, maybe.
I know where they are.
They're still there.
Yeah. But she's saying she has possession of these files now. So I don't know if this is what we're, I'm not sure exactly what we're waiting for here, but she's saying there is a review going on. We do have Russia. They've offered, they're talking to Trump. We talked a little bit about this here, and I'm telling you, this is going to get bigger and bigger as Starmer and all these fools start trying to push money and weapons.
Well, they are panicking over Ukraine, right? I mean,
yes, they are.
The U.S. is, the enemy. We have to keep the war going. I mean, this is like an agenda that they have to get done. They can't let it stop. The money, the power, pushing Russia away, depleting U.S. weapons, all of it, destroying.
They're still trying to get that money in there. I'm telling you, all that money that's parked in all these banks and in all these NGOs and nonprofits and all these places that have been facilitating this nonsense in the Ukraine and this trafficking and this migration. They know that a lot of that money's still out there. And so does Trump, and so does Elon Musk. And now it's a race to, you're either going to do asset recovery or you're going to allow them to come in and start pulling it out of there. And that's what has to stop. We have to have that. I've said it before, wrote about it. Look, we have to have a whole of government asset recovery on this. We cannot let them fund that nonsense out there. If Soros is over there begging for money from Brussels, then some of it's starting to happen.
China doesn't have any money. They're using our money to destroy us. Right.
And that's the same thing. What was the excuse they used for why it was so bad to get rid of USAID? Because if you get rid of USAID, we can't counter China. China's using that money. Yes. That's where that money, all your USAID, all your FDI, foreign direct investment into China, that's where they're getting it from.
I think the CCP realized that they can't run the Ponzi scheme forever. And they've got to take us down. And so 20, 30, 40 years ago, they decided, and they've been working at it slowly. But I think recently with Trump, they said, we got to stop this guy. So the COVID vax happened. and now they're going for broke.
Well, and they're going to come hard, but let me tell you this. Here's another thing. All those companies that have been over there funding them all this time, Trump's throwing down on them too. Look at Apple. Apple to open an AI server factory in Texas is part of a $500 billion U.S. investment. They know Trump's going to shut them down. He's not going to let them repatriate dollars from China. China wasn't going to let them repatriate dollars from China anyway. But all I'm saying is he's going to shut them down. They're not going to be able to serve both masters on this. They're going to have to make a choice. And you can see Apple's already started. They're going to open up. It looks like they're going to open up factories in Texas, California, Washington, and Arizona. A $500 billion investment. I'm telling you right now, he's going to these tech guys that are over there now and go, pick and choose who you're going to serve here. You're either going to stay over there or you'll come here, but you're not doing both of them. And that's coming. I'm telling you, it's coming like a rocket. And if that happens, I talked to my friend that I introduced you to at CPAC. We've talked about it. They're running out of funds in that real estate market. And these are things we talked to She Van Fleet earlier. These are things that are going to push.
Well, it's a do or die. It's a fight to the death here, one nation or the other. And we're not looking for to be the hegemon. We just want to survive in our own free will. And we got to cut off China and let them survive on their own free will if they want, but they can't. And they know that.
And I'm going to tell you the frantic movements of Europe right now. Same thing. They're
all funded by the CCP. They're all in the bed. Yeah,
that's it. And they've been getting that USAID money. They've been getting our security. Again, I always say that I served over there, and we're still serving over there till Trump shut all that stuff down from World War II.
Yeah.
If these people want to go out and fight with Russia, have at it. Find your backers.
That's why the Europeans won't do it, because they don't want to destroy their own armies. They want to use them to destroy their own people. Yeah. So they know this is a game.
And the game, and you're seeing it in Germany right now. Like I said, MSNBC said the walls, the deterrence walls to keep away extremism, far right extremism, are starting to come down. Okay, they're talking about, again, populist movements where people are tired of having the government kicking their asses all the time and censoring them.
Yes.
That's what they're talking about. And people are standing up, and they should. Todd, great time at CPAC. We had a good one.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Catch me at Real L. Todd Wood on X. CPAC was amazing. Great for CDM. We're growing. Our traffic's increasing rapidly. Our video content and viewers is growing rapidly. Our distribution's growing. So spread the word. Tell your friends. Share the links. Help us get bigger and fight the real war here, because nobody else will. We're one of the few that will talk about certain things. By the way, you don't see Peter Bernegger anywhere else, do you?
Yeah.
Why is that? Talking about Tom Cotton, why is that? You don't see him on Fox, because there's a reason for that. So, we're one of the real deals. We're not the only one, but we're the ones that really get it out early in the morning, and you can see it all. So support us. Thank you.
Yeah, no, most definitely. I'm on X. I am John Ritchie at I am John Ritchie. You can follow me there. It's right there on the bottom of the screen. Definitely follow me, comment. Let's get in there. I drop stuff there all the time. Love to hear from everybody. Also, we're here 10 to noon Eastern time, Monday through Friday. This is a live show, so what you see here is happening real time, but we're also on demand. We were on Rumble. Hopefully we'll still be there, but we're also on YouTube.
Actually, I think that the streams are still going. I think it just StreamYard kicked. It's a weird glitch, but I think the Rumble streams are still going. If not, I'll upload them again. So if anybody was watching out there and it stopped, I'll upload them again.
You'll still be able to get those on demand as well. Again, like I said, we're here 10 to noon, Monday through Friday. Hope you will continue to join us. The show is Output. We'll see you next time here.
This has been an Output Digital and CDM production.